You know what all the cool kids are doing these days? Listening to podcasts. And what does Toxic Radio have? Podcasts, duh.
Just as I thought.
Go to toxicradio.net and check out our weekly schedule for the lineup of great shows. Miss any of them live? No worries.
Thank God, dude.
We're on all the top podcast platforms, or just find them at toxicradio.net or on the free app. The choice is yours. Be cool or not.
We're gonna be cool.
Toxic Radio. Get the podcasts and get infected.
Hey, buddy. Rah. Hey, man, that's a sweet heavy metal happy hour t-shirt. Where'd you pick that up?
Thanks, dude. I got it at the Toxic Radio shop.
Toxic Radio has a shop?
Yeah, dude. It's in the app or online at toxicradio.net.
That is sweet.
Yeah, and I also got a rockin' Toxic Radio hoodie and a Red Band Underground shirt. Dude, I'm gonna look so rockin' at the party tomorrow.
Well, I think you look pretty now.
Oh, wait, what?
The Toxic Radio shop is a place to get all your Toxic Radio gear. Shirts, hoodies, stickers. Find it at toxicradio.net or on the app. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. Hey, where you going, man?
All sports talk shows are the same, right?
I am bothered by everything.
You gotta go back to football school.
The goal of this guy, it's just immeasurable.
Wrong. In a world filled with talking heads more interested in their own celebrity than actually knowing the sports world, it's hard to find the people who really care about sports first. Look no further. Wire to Wire has it all covered. These guys have the knowledge and the cred to back up their opinions. No hot takes to get attention, just straight up opinions. Know anyone else who correctly called the 2020 World Series and March Madness? How about 70% on the NFL and NCAA football last year? You don't. Bottom line, these guys know their shit. They aren't doing it for attention, they're doing it for passion. Wire to Wire, live every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern, only on Toxic Radio and wherever you find podcasts.
Welcome to Wire Sports Podcast. I'm your host and the only one in the studio, Gene Walzak, the NFL genius, coming through us remote from Warminster, PA. I got Uncle Shally.
What's up, bud?
What's happening? What's popping? Brand new whip just hopped in. I didn't get it yet, though.
Nice.
I didn't get it
Are you
yet.
getting it?
I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. They kind of lied. Also, coming from us remote, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own from Akron, Ohio. College Cottrell.
So many cities in Ohio, Gene. I don't know how you keep up with all of them.
That's Columbus, Akron, Kent State. I'm going wild.
They all stink.
We got a ton to get into tonight. The NFL draft. I can't wait to talk about that. We have our Elite Eight of the movie bracket. Fire. All four winners were blowouts in the votes. The fans have spoken. I don't want to hear any of your crap. The fans voted for these four. We also have UFC card. Good card. Lot of value on the card. There's a lot of value. We're going to talk about pucks and ponies and NBA playoffs, obviously. That's going to be the lion's share of our conversation tonight. My man Ja went nuts last night. Well, 47 piece. 47, 8-8. It is fire. Love me some Ja Morant. Wish he was a Sixer. But we got to start with the NFL draft. The NFL draft was nuts. Since we have a million things on the docket, what we can do is we can give you our best draft, our worst draft. I have a few. I'm sure you guys have a few. We'll talk about them. But it's unfair not to lead this segment off with College Cottrell. Cottrell, start us off. Let us know who had the best draft. Just the best. Don't give me the worst yet.
So when it comes to having the best, there was three teams. I think, we've talked throughout the week. I'm not going to give all three of them now. But I will say who I thought had the best draft would be the Baltimore Ravens. As much as I hate to say it, they were a team that's, obviously in the Browns division, but getting Kyle Hamilton at 14, not having to move and getting arguably the best defensive player in the draft, I mean, that's no small thing. It seems like every single year Baltimore gets in this position where they stay pat and they get, one of the top talents in the draft. And so I think they did it yet again this year. They also got Travis Jones. They got Charlie Kohler. Like, they got some guys who I think are starters on that team, and I think are going to have a big impact for them. Not to mention they get all their guys back from injury that they had last year. So I think Baltimore Ravens, they had a great weekend.
Bro, the Baltimore Ravens did 4 things great. Because I won't use them because you used them, and I'm going to use somebody else. But I just want to make a comment. They did 4 incredible things. You guys can all name 3. Really easy, right? David Ajabu in the second round, perfect, right? Perfect for what they do. Tyler Linderbaum, 10, 12-year starter, under center, guy's an absolute monster. You probably had the best defensive player in the draft. You got Kyle Hamilton at 14. Love him, right? What's the 4th thing they did? It was great.
They traded away Hollywood Brown.
They convinced Arizona to give you a first-round draft pick for Hollywood dropped Brown. Get out of here, bro. I'll take that all day. Ravens had a great draft. Shout.
They also pissed off their franchise quarterback at the same time too. So
Hollywood Brown pissed it. Hollywood Brown pissed this franchise quarterback off because Hollywood Brown asked to get out of there. Listen, just call it like it is. He's been on podcasts saying that he told Lamar week 15 and week 16 he didn't want to come back. Just to be clear. Shally, give me yours. Best draft.
I went back and forth between Baltimore and this team. Picking the New York Jets. I think they did what we expected them not to do. They didn't do Jet stuff. They actually they picked all the players they should have picked. And they didn't do the usual Jet things and reach for people or pick people that, they go back to the desk and like they have nothing prepared because they have no idea anybody would pick them number 4. But they got Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, Breece Hall, Jeremy Ruckert were their top 5 picks. They were a team that their top 5 picks were universally in everybody's top 100 on the big board. They addressed a lot of their needs. To Gene's point earlier, Gardner, you could argue could possibly, he was rated the number 1 cornerback on the board by everybody. Breece Hall was the number 1 rated running back. Garrett Wilson was the number 1 wide receiver on a lot of people's boards. Jermaine Johnson, it was great for them to sneak back in the end of the first round and pick him as he was falling. I thought that was a great move. They didn't really give up anything to get him. He's going to, present a presence on the edge for them depending on how they use him. And then they have, Jeremy Ruckert, who's not a bad tight end. He's an upgrade over what they have there. I expect him to start week 1. So I think the Jets had a really good day. I mean, we've all agreed. We all love Robert Saleh. I think he's a good coach. This was a very big step for them to, trying to turn that franchise around.
Bill, I couldn't agree with you more. I have literally listed on my paper. I have the Ravens, the Jets, this team, and then I have the Giants as my 4th. And I looked at the Giants draft fully, and they're not my pick, but I looked at their draft fully, and I seen their first 2 picks. I'm like, wow, those are Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau at 5 and 7. They're home run picks for them for where they're at. But I looked at the rest of the draft, and I couldn't put them ahead of the 3 teams I had higher. You mentioned the Jets. The Jets were great. The Jets were awesome. Joe Douglas did an awesome job there. They have 5 day 1 starters that they drafted on their team, which is incredible. You can't really do that in these drafts. They did it. The Ravens were incredible. But I got to give some love to the Philadelphia Eagles, man. I got to give love, be a little homer here. Notably, I wanted Kyle Hamilton when they traded up. Jordan Davis is a monster. He's going to help everyone else on that defense. Notably, I wanted Kyle Hamilton. They took the kid center, he's going to play guard, center in the second round. I'm okay with that too. Jason Kelsey loves the guy, but I was a little bit upset at the pick. So now I'm like, I don't know, man. Is this a good draft? 3rd round, we got lucky. Pick 19 just sitting for us on the table was, in my opinion, the number 2 ranked defensive player in the entire draft was sitting there in the 3rd round, pick 19. And I think it's Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean is, I've been really high on him. I can't wait to get my Nakobe Dean Eagles jersey. I told everybody I'm going to get whoever's jersey. Unless he goes to the Cowboys, I'm buying his jersey no matter where he goes. I've been high on him since college. I've been high on him the entire year. Last year, I wanted him when I watched him play versus Clemson. I wanted him when I watched him play versus Bama in the first game, when it felt like he was just pissed off that Bama was scoring. I wanted him after the national championship. I don't care about his 4.7 combine. I don't care that you believe he's undersized. I don't care about the talked about bicep issues. I don't. I think Nakobe Dean is a leader that this defense needs. When you say the number one, it's funny. His cone drill is actually up there with Devin White's. Just because it's 40 times below, his 3 cone drill is what they look at linebackers. I'll tell you about a play that really sold me on it. And I know Bill will remember this play very well. Hassan Haskins was running basically like lined up in the slot. He ran behind the quarterback, and they ran basically a little wheel pass to the running back. Nakobe Dean started on the other side of the field and tackled the running back before the line of scrimmage. I don't care about his 4.7 40. His instincts were there. He makes the plays. Nakobe Dean is a stud, and I think he'll be an all-pro middle linebacker in the NFL. Not just a Pro Bowler, an all-pro middle linebacker in the NFL. So my pick's the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go with that.
I don't think that's Homer though. That's the thing. Normally, of course, I would, get on you because you guys get on me about being Homer, but the Eagles were the third team that I had in that top 3. The Jets for sure were one. The Ravens were another one, and the Eagles were the last one. I think a team that was super close that I just want to give a little love to is the Detroit Lions. I think they had themselves a really good draft. Granted, I don't think you're going to really see a lot of it coming to fruition until they can get a quarterback. But, they're going to be probably bad again this year. And, next year, once Jared Goff is gone, I'm assuming they take a quarterback in the draft. And next thing you know, the Lions are going to be, their stock's going to be rising. So I did want to give a little bit of credit to the Lions, but I also love the Eagles draft too. Got a lot of steals and didn't even mention that they got A.J. Brown out of it. So absolutely love what the Eagles did during the draft weekend.
That's big facts. I'm going to go with worst draft now. I'll start because I went last the first time. It's a tie for me. Like, I think it was the strangest pick in the first round was the New England Patriots taking Cole Strange. I thought it was hilarious that Sean McVay was laughing at the pick. Like, oh, we scouted him thinking he'd be there at 104. Just a 4th round pick. I think New England had an all-around bad draft. I gave him a C- to a D for the whole draft. But I was not a fan of New England's draft at all. But, I'm sure Bill Belichick in 4 years will prove me wrong, and Cole Strange will be an, all-pro guard in the NFL, but that's one of my picks. The second one I have to give to the Green Bay Packers. If you told me you had 2 first-round draft picks and you took 2 defensive players from Georgia and neither of them are Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, I would look at you like you had 3 heads. Or Travon Walker, obviously. Travon Walker went 1. They got Quay Walker. Quay Walker was the other linebacker next to Nakobe Dean. Basically, his sidekick. It's like the Robin to the Batman in the linebacker room. If you remember, I've brought this play up multiple times. Quay Walker missed an assignment on a play to Alabama's tight end. Alabama's tight end dropped the ball. Everyone in Georgia was celebrating. Nakobe Dean looked right at him like, you can't miss that assignment. You're supposed to be there. Didn't celebrate with his team. He was so concerned with Quay Walker missing the assignment. Then they take Devontae Wyatt. And Devontae Wyatt played more snaps than Jordan Davis. But his most productive time was when Jordan Davis was on the field because Jordan Davis was getting double and triple teamed. In the NFL, you're going to play against guards and centers that are Bama every week. And you ain't going to have Jordan Davis next to you. Just not. Devontae Wyatt and Quay Walker were awful picks. I think taking an undersized wide receiver to replace Devontae Adams is questionable. I hope he turns out well for Green Bay and for Aaron Rodgers' sake, but I don't like their draft at all. So for me, it's the Packers and the Patriots. Shally, what do you got?
You stole my thunder. I had a feeling we were all going to kind of agree on New England, so I went back in and tried to come up with another one, and I came up with Green Bay for a lot of the same reasons you did. I mean, listen, it's well documented how I feel about Aaron Rodgers, but you lost Devontae Adams. It was something that was definitely a need and something they had to address. And like you said, their their first two picks are defensive picks, and not really stuff. Not really people they had to take. You thought they could have used both of their picks and maybe moved up and grabbed a receiver when the run started. They didn't do that. I don't know. I mean, I just don't. I mean, I feel like the outlook on Green Bay next year is going to be the same as it always is. It's going to be, how well does Aaron Rodgers play? Defense will probably be okay. They will have a couple guys back from injury last year that they didn't have this year. But they didn't. If I'm a Green Bay fan, they didn't do anything to excite me whatsoever. Like you said, between Walker and Nakobe Dean. I mean, if you're going to take one of them, you're going to take Nakobe Dean. They took the other guy. I don't know. I just thought it was a very weird, kind of off-putting draft if I was a Green Bay fan. So Green Bay was the other team I was going to use.
I just don't know if Christian Watson is the right pick for them at wide receiver. I know Cottrell's high on him, so he can probably correct me. And I know he's 6'4". I get it. I just
he's a little raw. He has the reason Cottrell's high on him is the same kind of reason I would be. As an athlete, the kid checks every box as an athlete. He's just used to playing against teams where, him being the athlete he is, it lets him get away with certain things. He's going to have to improve his route running a little bit. And I think people don't realize to some degree, you have to be a little bit intelligent to be a wide receiver too. To settling in, soft spots, zones, things like that. But that being said, with all the physical abilities he has, I mean, I don't know if he's in a better spot to, as long as he does what he's supposed to do, he has a guy that's going to put the football where it needs to be for him to catch it. He's a great yard after the catch guy, great speed, definitely take the top off the defense. So I mean, I don't hate that pick. I just feel like they probably could have done better and got one of the guys that was a little bit maybe of a sure thing and not less of a break-in period for, Aaron Rodgers, who could have anywhere between 2 and 5 years left in Green Bay, depending on what his mood is on any given day.
Cottrell, what's your thoughts?
Well, just to comment real quick on the Packer situation. You mentioned I do love Christian Watson. Him being 6'5", he's a 4'3" guy. I mean, I think that's a great fit for them. Obviously, I don't think he's going to perfectly fill the void that Devontae Adams left. But where they were sitting at in the draft and, with everybody who was off the board, I thought that was the perfect pick for them. I even told you guys on draft night, the Thursday night, that I thought that the Packers should have took him at that pick. So for them to get him early in the second round, I think that was great value for him. For me, though, who I thought had the worst draft would be the Indianapolis Colts. That's a team that, they had to watch the Eagles utilize those first-round picks just spectacularly when they were dealing with the aftermath of, the whole Carson Wentz thing. And then the second round, they get Alec Pierce. While I don't think Alec Pierce is a bad player, I just don't think he's the weapon that is going to be helpful for Matt Ryan. I mean, he's going to go into that situation and pretty much have to assume that number 2 receiver position right away. And he has to assume that position when they don't have a true number 1 receiver. Yes, Michael Pittman is there, but he hasn't shown to be that productive, number 1 receiver where he just commands all this respect from a type of defense. So didn't love the Alec Pierce pick. Jelani Woods is going to be a monster. Now, talk about a guy that's raw. He's absolutely raw, but I think that was a great pick for them. That's the only one that I absolutely love of their whole weekend. And then they went out and got another tight end from Youngstown State. To me, it just didn't really make sense. You get 2 tight ends, and both of them are going to be considered backups for now. Colts, I just think they could have made out a lot better in that draft.
I completely agree with you. The only other thing I'll add to it is Bernhard Raymond, I think, will be a decent offensive tackle for them, the kid from Central Michigan. I actually think he'll start. I do too. With that being said, I get it. I think they had a bad draft too, so it's a very, very good pick. Overall, I'm happy though as an Eagles fan. I can't argue too much, and I will take a couple months off of my Howie hate and give him his roses.
Give him the extension.
We got A.J. Brown, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis. I'm a happy camper. So with that being said, we got to move on, though. We got a lot to get into. NBA playoffs are in full swing. Right now, last I checked, the Sixers were down 10. Hopefully, they've cut that gap a little bit. I doubt it. Not JoJo. It's a tough task for the Sixers versus Miami. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that series so far?
I mean, worst possible news for us being a Sixers fans when you heard the Joe had a concussion, then the orbital bone fracture, already playing through the pain of playing through the thumb with the torn tendon. It's just adding up now. Listen, you're taking one of the top 5 players off a team that revolves and does everything around him. That's tough sledding for anybody, especially when you're going against the number 1 seed in the East. They're down 8.5 today. I mean, it looks like they're hanging tough again. I don't know if they could put another 2 quarters together and steal game 2 here. I think which would be huge because it looks like everything's trending in the right direction for JoJo to play game 3 on Saturday. So I don't think Miami's been dominant by any form, or any rhyme or reason. I think the Sixers have been done well to kind of hang in the game and hang around, but they just don't have that guy to get them over the top. I mean, you're taking debatably between 30 and 35 points every game off the board with JoJo not playing right now, plus his defensive presence, plus his rebounds, everything else. Toby had a great game 1. Maxey played well.
I don't know what I'm
have to say.
I don't know what I'm looking. I don't know what I'm looking at with you're disappointed Harden, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm looking at with Miami because they're running the same play when DeAndre Jordan's on the court. They're running the same pick and roll to make Jordan step up, and they're literally, and that's why the Sixers had to switch to zone in game 1. And then everyone loves B-ball Paul, but B-ball Paul can't stay out of foul trouble. At 5 fouls in 13 minutes, he's a hack.
Yeah, he's a habitual fouler.
And I love the kid. I think the kid's energy is great, but I don't know what I'm looking at. If JoJo plays, they can't run that bullshit that they're running every play. They don't. The Sixers don't need to run zone. I don't think Miami's that good. I'm going to be real with you. I think whoever wins this series, they get walked in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I don't want to say that they're not that good. I agree to your point, though. I think they're being able to play a very mundane, very simple game plan because they can do it over and win the game. I don't think they're being forced to do certain things because we can't. Like, to your point, like Reed can't play. Jordan's on the court. All right, cool. You're going to get 20 rebounds a game, but like you're not getting anything out of it. They're playing 4-on-5 when they have the ball. He is no threat whatsoever offensively.
You know what I do if I'm the Sixers? I'm not kidding with you. Control, actually, before I tell you, I got a plan. They won't use it, but I got a plan. If Joel Embiid doesn't play, maybe they'll use it in the second half down the stretch. Maybe Doc's listening at halftime. But Control, give me your thoughts on the series so far, and then I'll give the plan.
For me, it's really simple right now. I'm loving I said it last week. I'll say it again. I'm loving the emergence of Tyrese Maxey. He's really stepping up to a role that really wasn't supposed to be his yet this season. So I want to give him all the props in the world. Of course, disappointed in James Harden as well. As far as the series goes, though, I think we're not seeing a lot out of Miami right now because, the Sixers haven't made us see a lot out of them yet. I think once Joel comes back, they're going to be obviously a more difficult team to play. And that's when, Spo will make his adjustments over there. The thing that obviously worries me most in this series, though, even once Joel comes back, is I know Spo is going to make those adjustments. I just don't know how, Doc Rivers is going to make his adjustments. And if you can't rely on James Harden down the stretch, you're going to have some issues on your hands. So I thought that the Sixers were going to lose this series in 6 before the whole thing with Joel Embiid happened. Now I'm leaning, Heat in 5 unless Joel comes back in game 3. I still think it goes 6. But I think the Heat right now, at least, while Joel's out, they have the 2 best players in the series and they have the best coach in the series. They have better shooters. And, the Sixers have that heart, but that's only going to take you so far in a matchup against the Miami Heat team that's loaded. And granted, they may not be playing that great right now. I think if they go up against Milwaukee, they've shown that Bam can take on the challenge of Giannis. Obviously, he's not going to just shut him down completely because you don't shut down a player that great. But I think that's a good matchup for them. And then against the Celtics, you just don't know which Celtics team's going to show up. It could be the Celtics team from game 1, or it could be the Celtics team from game 2. So I think the Heat are going to be a force to reckon with. I don't think they're going to be an easy out next round, but
I think they
This
get dog walked.
series is this series is very dependent on Doc's adjustments and how quickly Joel can get back on the court.
I think that whoever wins this series gets dog walked the next round, in my opinion. I'm going to give you the lineup I'd run if I'm the Sixers down the stretch. You can't start with this lineup. But I put Toby at the 5. I'm dead serious. With Bam Adebayo playing center, I don't think that the size difference is that big of a deal. So if I'm running a small lineup with Toby at the 5, I'm running Toby, obviously James, Tyrese, Matisse, and Danny Green. And that's my 5. That's how I'm running. And I'm running, and I'm running, and I'm running, and I'm running. You got 5 guys that can run the court, and you got Harden as a visionary that can throw it anywhere he wants. You could say whatever you want about James Harden missing the boat with his scoring. The guy's got eyes in the back of his head. He's passes the ball better than anybody on the court. It's not close. I think what really hurts is the fact that he used to be lethal off the dribble. So now that you don't respect him off the dribble as much, you can play his three-point shot, and he gets a lot more contested threes, which is the reason that his shooting is so down. That quick first step is gone. I think that age really got to him. It could be the hamstring still. I doubt it. I just think that, I think James Harden's just a little washed. I hope we don't give him $45 million. Tell you that.
Nope. That can't be a thing next year.
Let's move on. Boston versus Milwaukee. That series has been weird. First game, Milwaukee came in and showed everybody why they're world champions. Without Chris Middleton, I don't know when Chris Middleton's come back. He's come back this series? Come back game 4, game 5? Not at all?
He's out the series.
You're not seeing him till the Eastern Conference Finals.
I think Boston wins the series then. If that's the case, I think Giannis is great, but I just don't think he's enough. Tatum, Brown, Smart, Robert Williams. You got a whole defense over there in Boston, and they made the adjustments after game 1 to game 2, and they looked really good. So I think that I think Boston wins the series. I think I think game 2's adjustments showed you that. I think you'll see that in game 3 in Milwaukee. I think Boston takes 1 out of 2 next 2 in Milwaukee. They win game 5, and they could wrap it up in 6.
I think that series is going 7.
It could.
You're talking about Middleton being out, but I mean Marcus Smart didn't play the other night. Jaylen Brown is banged up. He's got a hamstring issue. It's going to kind of be like the survival of the fittest here to see who makes it down the stretch and makes it to the end of the series. I don't think Giannis will play as bad as he did in game 2, game 3, especially being home. I expect Milwaukee to win game 3 comfortably. I think game 4 is the one that's a toss up, like Gene said. That's. I don't know. I think you saying it weird was probably the best description of it. I can't get a feel for it. It was 2 completely different games, 2 completely different set of circumstances. Some guys played great in game 1, other guys played great in game 2, but it doesn't really add up to being able to really figure out what's going on. So I'm looking forward to it. To Cottrell's point, I don't think Miami gets dog walk at all, especially if Kyle Lowry's healthy. I think it depends on who they match up with. I think Boston and Miami are very similar in the way they play. I think that would be a great series. And then Milwaukee presents a whole
better everywhere. Everywhere. At every position, they're better. Marcus Smart's better than Kyle Lowry. Jaylen Brown's better than Tyler Hero. Jason Tatum's better than Jimmy Butler. Like, they're better everywhere.
Well, I mean, Hero doesn't start, so.
I used Hero because it would be a joke if I used anyone else. If I used Gabe Vincent, we're not even talking about that. Max Strus. Look, it's very simple. Cottrell, your thoughts?
I mean, this series, I think it's going to go 7 as well. I think the Celtics ultimately win it. I think weird was the absolute best way to put it. Giannis has just shown me time after time after time that he isn't going down without a fight. And right now, it seems like everything's stacked against him. Middleton, I didn't think Middleton should be considered a true number 2 option. They went on and won the finals with Middleton as the number 2 option last year. And now Middleton's out, and he, put up basically a triple-double in that first game and made the Celtics look, human after they swept the team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So I think Giannis is going to will them as much as they can, but eventually it's just going to be just too much to overcome. So I think the Celtics do win it in 7. With that said, I think Jaylen Brown's performance, yesterday just shows you that he is the best Robin in the Eastern Conference right now. It seems like.
Whoa.
Well, left in the playoffs.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Left in the playoffs. So, I mean, Jaylen Brown being a guy that can really put up 40, just any. I'm not going to say any given night because he doesn't have it like that, but he can shock you and throw up 40 any night really. And then when he's got it going, and if Tatum has it rolling, they're going to be a tough team to beat. And they got that grit on defense too that I absolutely love. So
I'm gonna tell you something right now.
Get tough out.
You know how much I hate Boston. You guys know how much I hate Boston. I hate Boston. I hate Celtics. I hate everything about them. I can't name a team that played better team defense in the last 10 years. I can't. Not one. They play better team defense than I've ever seen anyone play. Everyone on that team is bought into that. I laughed when Brad Stevens went to the front office and they hired a new coach. I thought, like, they're taking a step back. They started the season terrible. Everyone was out on Boston. They were talking about trade Tatum, trade Brown. They kept it together, and they all bought into the philosophy of team defense. Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year. You got Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Robert Williams, Al Horford, Average Al. They all play defense, and they all switch. And, they're deep. They're really deep. They made a trade with San Antonio to get Derek White. I thought that was a great move for them. Even Pritchard gives them minutes. I just think the team as a whole, the team as a whole plays perfect team defense. Let's move on. He said Pistons. Oh, last 10 years got you. Yeah, of course. I'm not prisoner in a moment. Stop it. Give me a team that has a better. PD says prisoner in a moment. Give me a team that has better team defense the last 10 years. You guys have one?
And I
started thinking about it. Yeah, as soon as you said it, it's just nothing that's popping off.
Like they remind me of the Pistons that won a title. They remind me of that style of team, that style of defense. The Rip, Tayshaun, Chauncey, everybody, they could pass defense off. There's no what? You're laughing. What are you laughing at?
Kevin said Hawks 2021.
Get out of here, bro. PD said Bucks last year. Get out of here, bro. Stop. All right, so let's move on to the Western Conference. Western Conference has one series that I think will be short. I think the Suns are going to run amok and win that series in 5. I think Luka's going to steal one, but that game 1 showed you, man. They just don't have the dogs to keep up with Phoenix. Luka played out of his mind. They lost by 10. But I think if I was score, they lost by 7.
Yeah, and Phoenix didn't play overly great either. And
no.
It's still when they had to score, they scored, and that was kind of the end of it. And Booker's not 100%.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah, he's not. So it's that series is. I would be absolutely shocked if that went past 5 games.
Control.
I think it goes 6. Just because I think the Mavs are they're going to get a game where Luka goes crazy and they actually get a win. And I think you're going to get at least one more good Jalen Brunson game. Jalen Brunson was a force while Luka was out, and I think he is going to have another one of those games. And the Suns have shown you, and I'm not even going to just get on Chris Paul here, just them as a whole. They've shown you where there's going to be games where they're just cold, and it's not a particular player. Just as a team, it seems like if one of them's cold, they're all cold. So I think you're going to get one of those games there too. So I think the Mavs can steal a game at home, and then I think they probably steal. I don't even know. They'll steal game 3.
You just look for
game 5.
You just look for a way to just downgrade Chris Paul, bro. That's what it is.
No, I wasn't even downgrading.
I'm kidding, bro.
Let's not do that.
I didn't downgrade him too much. He's been playing his ass off.
So you got Suns in 6. We have Suns in 5. That's fine. I want to talk about the series though. The series that everyone's talking about. There's a lot to get into with this series. You got Ja Memphis. I don't know how to say it. Those guys in Memphis say it way better than me. Ja Memphis. That's fine. 47, 8, and 8 last night. Getting a game 2 win over Golden State, who seems. And I said this before after I watched one game of Golden State in the playoffs, I'm like, Golden State's going to the finals. I said it immediately. I'm like, they're going to the finals. Jordan Poole has been playing out of his friggin' mind. Guy's unreal. I think it's definitely a blow losing Gary Payton, and we'll talk about that play in a minute. But I still think the Warriors win the series. I think they win it in 6. I think they win both in Oakland, and I think they lose Game 5 and then come back and win Game 6. That's what I have for the series. But I love the grit and determination of Memphis, man. Those guys, it's just like if you put them up against the wall and you were making picks, Ja would be the only one you picked in the top 5 out of all 2 teams. God, please continue. I'll take Steph, Clay, Draymond, and Jordan Poole over anybody else on Memphis, not named Ja.
I agree with everything else you said, like literally to a T. I think if you look at last night, is crazy, and that game did turn out to be very emotional with everything that went on in the game between the foul that we'll talk about, another Draymond Green situation, him getting elbowed and cut. But when you boil down to it, Ja played great down the stretch, which is what Ja does. And Steph and Clay shot terribly last night, and they still only lost by 5 or 6, I think. I don't think you can realistically expect for them to go back to Oakland and shoot that poorly at home 2 games in a row. I do agree with Gene exactly. I think they win Game 3. I think they win Game 4. Memphis must win at home. I think takes care of business. I think they get back to Oakland in Game 6, and I think that's a wrap. I just don't see Steph and Clay playing and shooting that poorly in the next 2 games, and I think they'll take care of business.
Cottrell?
So, I think you guys hit it right on the head. I think before the Gary Payton injury, I thought that it was going to be Warriors in 5. Post Gary Payton injury, I think it's going to be Warriors in 6. I think the Warriors are going to win both of them, in the Bay, and they're going to go back to Memphis and lose Game 5 and go back to the Bay and win Game 6. This is definitely going to be an exciting series. I love to see how much competitiveness Ja Morant has in him. Even when his guys aren't really stepping up, if you go back and look at the box score, Game 2 wasn't a game where Desmond Bain stepped up. Game 2 wasn't a game that Jaren Jackson stepped up. Ja said, I'm going to put the team on my shoulders and we're going to go as far as I take us. And I love seeing that from him. The future of the NBA is in great hands with all these young stars. And Ja Morant, he's a future MVP in the league. He just has that moxie about him. And before the season ended, I was big on, Memphis was pretenders. I didn't think Memphis was that good. I thought they could steal a few games here and there in the playoffs, but Ja Morant wills that team to victories. And they just play so hard and so well together that they're going to be a force to reckon with. I think they're going to run into the chainsaw of the Warriors, but the Memphis Grizzlies are going to be here for a long time with that core.
So, question for you guys real quick. Can either one of you guys name who had the second most points for Memphis last night?
Well, it wasn't what's his face.
It was somebody on the bench. It was
it's amazing, bro.
Yeah, 20 off the bench. I remember looking at the box
14,
score.
14. Second
14?
most points on the team was 14.
It was a player off the bench. Was it Brandon
Zaire
Clark?
Williams.
Zaire Williams.
That's my
Guy
point.
Who hadn't even really been playing.
No, Desmond Bain had 5. Like, Ja is just next level, man. I love him. And the shit talk he gets into, like he got into it with Steph, like talking shit with him after they won. I love it, man. The competitive spirit is awesome. It's not like dirty shit talk.
He does it.
It's just
exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. He does it right though. Like it's like cool. Like your ball now. Like your turn. And like Steph will score and he'll go right back down and then he says something. He's not disrespectful though. He's just like, we're here playing. Like this is fun. Like this is competitive. Like this is what I want to do.
He said, "I love this. I love this. I'm having so much fun."
He does. He's in my opinion, and Cottrell kind of got hit on this a little bit already. I've said it on previous shows as well. I mean that core together, between Bain and Brooks and Jalen Jackson and Ja. I mean that team was the team that came up together. They struggled together. They went through all those wars and went through those shitty periods, man, when they couldn't beat anybody. That matters when you guys you start to play better and get to this level. the trust and the camaraderie and the togetherness, like that's going to propel them. I do agree. They just ran into a Warriors team at the wrong time. But Ja's one of two people that absolutely took that next step this year. I think he took maybe a little bit bigger jump to Tatum, but those two are firmly entrenched in the top 10 in the NBA now. They're both superstars, and their teams are playing better accordingly. They both took the next jump as well. I don't think that's any coincidence whatsoever.
Ja Morant has a cool ass dad too. Like his dad just being courtside, just having fun with everybody, being with Dale Curry, being with Usher. Like literally,
the cool thing with that too, and the cool thing with that is that like his dad and Cat's dad, it was like a big thing during the first round, like them going back and forth. Like it was cool, and ESPN spent time on it as well and documented it. But this is going to be a fun series. This is definitely going to be the more exciting series of the two in the West and the one you want to watch. But Memphis is going to be around for a while.
I can't turn Memphis off, bro. I can't turn them off.
No. Cottrell used the word too that I love when it's used correctly. Memphis definitely has that kind of like a little bit of like grit to them. They don't. They're a flashy team, but they don't. They have that grit and the toughness and moxie. I love that word when it's used correctly, and that's definitely a word I would use to describe Memphis.
All right, so let's take one moment to talk about the flagrant fouls and the issues with the foul situation. First, I want to talk about Draymond Green's. Zero chance it should have been a flagrant 2. I think if it wasn't Draymond Green, it would. I don't know if it's more than a common foul, maybe a flagrant one. I think Draymond Green. 1? Yes. I think that was embarrassing that was a flagrant 2.
I think it was even more embarrassing that the NBA decided not to rescind it.
Correct. I agree with you even more. Yes. Anybody disagree there?
No, I agree 100%. If it's literally anybody but Draymond Green, it's this. We're not even talking about it.
Okay. So and you have last night. Dylan Brooks, if you didn't see the play, it's a nasty play to watch. And I don't recommend watching it. It's not like one of those. I've watched it 650 times. I'm arguing with these two guys about it. But Dylan Brooks was trying to catch up on a break. Draymond Green makes a perfect bounce pass to Gary Payton, who's going up for a layup. And Dylan Brooks takes a very irresponsible swipe at the ball and clocks Gary Payton in the head. And Gary Payton then falls and tries to brace himself and breaks his elbow. Was it forearm or elbow? But
elbow. Fractured forearm.
Fractured elbow. Wait on the MRI to see if there's any structural damage, but he's done for the year.
And that sucks because Gary Payton Jr. has been playing really good basketball.
And he's been the primary defender on Ja.
And I think that it warranted a flagrant 2. I think it warranted an ejection. I do not think that it was a dirty play. I think it was an irresponsible play. I want to make that clear. I think he's swiping at the ball. And if you look at replay after replay after replay, he's within a finger's length of the ball. He's close to the ball. But with that being said, it was definitely irresponsible. And he's running full speed. And his natural reaction right after the play, which wouldn't be my reaction if I was trying to hurt somebody, was take a step towards to make sure Gary Payton was all right. Then the officials got in between them because obviously Golden State seen the fall and seen he was hurt and started coming over there. And before they realized it was a thing, they pulled him away, gave him a flagrant 2, ejected him from the game. I would love your comments on it, guys.
I don't think that it was necessarily dirty in the sense that I don't think Dylan Brooks had ill intent. I don't think he was going up trying to hurt him. I think irresponsible is a great way to put it. I just think in that situation, there's this unspoken rule in the NBA that if you're in that situation, Dylan Brooks wasn't close enough to make a basketball play. You could talk about, the semantics of how close his fingers were to the ball. He wasn't close enough to make a basketball play. And I think that warrants that he shouldn't have done it. Now, if he ran him down and tried to wrap him up or something like that, that's a whole nother thing. But I think the play was very irresponsible, absolutely deserved a flagrant 2. And to be honest, I think he might get suspended for a game. I don't think that, once again, I don't think that there was ill intent, and I don't think he meant to do it. But just the play itself, I think the NBA is really going to look at that, and I think they're going to strongly consider suspending him for Game 3.
I think the problem with that is setting a precedent. If a player gets hurt, that you suspend him. If Gary Payton gets up and he's fine and he doesn't hurt his elbow, there's no chance he gets suspended. So I think that you're setting a precedent that if you suspend him, that if a player gets hurt, you're suspending other players for that. That's just my opinion. Bill, what's your thoughts?
I agree with both of you. I don't think Dylan Brooks necessarily, had any desire or intent to hurt Peyton. I disagree with your last statement, Gene. I think that's a precedent you absolutely set. If you're going to be that reckless and you're going to hard foul somebody like that, especially in the playoffs, and to Cottrell's point, you do it midair when the guy is completely vulnerable, not expecting that. You club him on the side of the head with your elbow. Listen, dude, Dylan Brooks ain't a small guy. I mean, you're getting hit full force, like you said, full run. He brought his arm back and whacked, and we can agree to disagree that he was close to the ball. But you put somebody, with as fast as these guys move and as strong as they are, you hit somebody that hard, man. Injuries can happen. I mean, that's physics at that point. Like, you don't know how Gary Payton's going to land. You don't know what he's going to run into. And if you do something that irresponsible, sometimes the punishment needs to be more than an ejection. I won't be mad if he doesn't get suspended, but I do think he's going to get a game, and I think that's warranted, honestly.
Okay. That's all we got for NBA. I think that I want to get into the movie bracket
real quick. I wanted quick answers.
Okay.
It just got announced today that Ben Simmons is having surgery. Does that change any perception?
Absolutely.
I know it doesn't for you, Gene.
Nope.
But
I mean,
having surgery, does that change anything for you, Bill?
It doesn't. It doesn't for me in the aspect that I agree with you. Once he got there and some of the medical stuff came out, and they said he did have a legit herniated disc. Then I saw what my sister went through when she had it. I know other people that have had it. I know it's painful as hell. I don't, if it is that bad, I don't know, about trying to play an NBA game about it. I'm not going to say it changes my point of view either, though, about some of the other things he did that I don't agree with. So the physical part's still there. But on the other hand, all we heard, he was going to play Game 4. He was going to play Game 4. And then they said he didn't play Game 4 because he still had mental hurdles. So to me, it's not the back at that point. It's something else still. So, I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to really know, to be honest with you. But if he's got it.
Petey's bringing up breaking news. He said it's fake surgery.
Could be. I don't know. I the conspiracy tinfoil hat part of me will somewhat agree with Petey saying, they're doing this because it's going to help his case with getting his money back from the Sixers. But listen, again, if you have a herniated disc, I mean, I don't know how good it's going to feel to play basketball on it, but
that's probably just the rumor floating around Philly Live.
I just can't take them. Bro, first of all, let me just make 10 seconds and then we'll move on. You show up game 3. You show up game 3 looking like Ronald McDonald on the sideline, and then you're not even on the sideline for game 4 as your team gets swept. Like, I have zero respect for this man. I hope his basketball career's over. I really do, and I mean that.
That's rough.
I mean it. I can't. Let me read a couple things in the wire line. William Joseph, years ago, we didn't trust the Sixers training staff. What if he didn't either, and it messed with his head, and ultimately there was a back injury? What if? And then
if we're going to bring out the conspiracy box, you can throw it in there. I mean, he's not wrong.
And Timmy Todd said, depends on where the disc is.
Yeah. Listen, man, I mean, we all joke about like playing like softball and like everything else, but I mean, like, none of us have ever played at a level like that. Like, a herniated disc, like, you just say it like, oh, I'm going to play the herniated disc, I'm going to go play an NBA game. It doesn't sound freaking pleasant to me. I mean, it's,
Speak for yourself. I played Department of Rec baseball. Just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. I play rec softball 4 nights a week. Prime
All
athlete.
right, throw up the
So,
movie bracket. Throw up the movie bracket. All right, we have the winners, and I will let you know who they are. It looks like the first one is already there. Friday Night Lights took out Bull Durham.
But that advanced that last week when we tied it for some reason. Remember, we couldn't figure it out.
It's perfect.
It doesn't
That's
matter
okay.
now.
It's advanced. Yeah. It's right. So so a league of their own took out Rudy. So it's almost like the system knew who we were voting for. And look, there's no rhyme or reason. Let's go to the other side to see what happened there. I don't know. Maybe it happened again. Miracle. See, Miracle beats Cinderella Man. This is 3 for 3 on the projections. Let's check the bottom. Yeah, see, this is where it's got it wrong. It's where it's got it wrong. White Man Can't Jump beat Jerry Maguire.
They thought they had it. They
almost had it. The system was 75%. If you bet that way, then all right, Mike, I know you're controlling this. I want you to tell me what area we're starting in. What area are we starting in? Just go on the screen. Shuffle it up. I don't care. Where are we starting? All right. Miracle versus Rounders.
Going at Gene's throat right off the get-go.
It's fine. I'm going to start with this one because I have, just to be clear, I've told everybody, I told you guys, I will vote for Rounders until I'm voted out. I'm going Rounders.
Before you vote,
yes.
we're going to keep the same. Well, he did already vote, but so you're going to go first. I'll go second. Cottrell go third, and we'll rotate through those. Correct?
That's fine.
All right.
I know you're trying to get me on the big ones. I get it.
No. I just don't want I don't want anybody to go first or third on every single one. I think that's rough.
I'm going with Miracle. I'm sorry. I'm going with Rounders. I splash the pot whenever I please. I even bleeped myself. How you like that, man? Apples.
It's like the first time in show history.
Man has alligator blood.
I love the movie. You can't just. Edward Norton Jr. plays the best lovable loser in the whole movie. I'm sorry.
So, I've seen Rounders a gazillion times, and I've seen it recently because, again, I'm home from, professional softball that we play, and it's on, like, TNT at, like, 12. I get suckered into it every damn time. So, I hadn't watched Miracle in a long time. I watched Miracle the other night. I had a feeling this is where we were going to go. So, I wanted to give it a fresh look. I forgot how freaking good it was. That whole scene with Kurt. I don't know how Kurt Russell didn't get more praise for playing Herb Brooks. I really don't. After watching it again, I really don't. He was so freaking good. I'm going to go with Miracle. What are you laughing at?
Fat Greggy sitting 20-40? The game's that soft? Sorry. 1-1. I just, the Rounders lines never end, and Cottrell is going to come through and let the legend continue of Rounders. Tell him, Cottrell.
Yeah,
Cinderella run is over.
I voted against Miracle last week, and I'm going to vote against it again.
Let's go
this week. I'm going with Rounders. Their Cinderella story continues. They're essentially the Cinderella Man, you could say. Moving on to the Final Four as a 7th seed, but Rounders just does it for me, man.
Look at Rounders.
It's because you hate hockey. I understand.
The outlaw Josie Wells always doubles back for a friend, Cottrell.
Bill, it's all about matchups, man.
Mooney, keep them coming, bro. I love the Rounders comments. I guess we're going here next. So Bill went second, so Bill gets to go first here. I got to go third. Thanks.
I voted against it last week. I mean, that was more of a preference thing. Going quality and movie here, I'm going to stay consistent. I thought The Sandlot probably should have been the 1 seat in this region, and I think it's the best movie in this region. It hurt my soul to vote against Moneyball last week, but I think The Sandlot's that good. I'm sticking with The Sandlot. I think it's the best movie in the West. No disrespect to White Man Can't Jump at all, but Sandlot just checks out all the boxes for me every time I watch it. So Sandlot for me.
I know where this is headed. Jesus.
I voted against White Man Can't Jump last week. This week it gets my vote. As much as I love The Sandlot, I love White Man Can't Jump just a little bit better. And Gene, the pressure is on.
So what we've learned so far is that Cottrell is an absolute flip-flop voter.
It's
through
all
2
about
rounds.
matchups. I'm telling you. I just said it like 5 minutes ago.
Cottrell can be bought. That's all we learned so far.
I just
Call
this
me
is
Jordan Addison.
this is really tough for me. This is 100%
Transfer portal.
my 1 and 2 seed in the West. I don't think this is even a question. These two movies are far and away the best 2 movies out here. Well, Moneyball would be up there. But White Man Can't Jump is so much fun for me to watch. I laugh at it the entire time. The Hustlers in what is a Queens, Sandlot, my childhood, man. Wendy Peppercorn, Benny the Jet. I feel like I'm in a really tough spot right here. Can we let the listeners pick this one? Can we let it go to a vote? Do I have to vote?
We got to put
You
a
gotta
half
vote,
vote
Gene.
from
We're
on
not
each
letting you
one.
off the hot seat.
Can I go half for each one and then listener? It's tied. I really was very, very against White Man Can't Jump not being clear-cut 4-0 winner over Jerry Maguire. I think for I'm going Sandlot. Final answer, locked in. I can't vote against my childhood like that. It's
the correct pick.
It's such a great movie. It's not. I don't know if it's correct pick. White Man Can Jump's amazing, bro. So we got
Sandlot might win this
Sandlot
whole damn
versus
thing,
Rounders next week. Jesus Christ.
Make sure Gene's going last on that one.
Well, you know what I'm going with. I'll tell you, I'm not.
Yeah, you gotta make sure he goes first. Bill, you're last.
League
I'll
of Their
go last on
Own
that one.
was a heavy fan favorite last week. They whooped up on Rudy. We got League of Their Own versus Field of Dreams.
Cottrell's first on this one.
Yep, and I'm second.
For me, this one was actually quite easy. I'm going with Field of Dreams, and I just didn't think it wasn't too close for me. I think Field of Dreams is the better movie, and obviously both movies about baseball. Field of Dreams is the better baseball movie, so of course I think it's the better overall movie. So Field of Dreams gets my vote here.
It's funny. I don't think this one's that hard either. Field of Dreams is the winner here, and I won't put any pressure on Bill. Field of Dreams is listen. I love A League of Their Own. A League of Their Own should have definitely, been in the conversation. It was a top 3 or 4 seed, but Field of Dreams is just a different outcome. Field of Dreams, easy.
Yeah, I mean, my vote doesn't matter, but that's where my vote was going, obviously. I've said before, League of Their Own is very high up on my list. It's higher up than it is on a lot of other people's for baseball movies. It's top 5 for me, and it's solidly in there. It's over a bunch of other really good baseball movies. But you're talking about, debatably the best baseball movie ever made in Field of Dreams. And then, personally for me, that's where I have it. So this was easy for me. This is not one of the ones I was sweating. So Field of Dreams moves on with the sweep.
So I want to address a couple comments on the wire line. PD said it's not about my childhood. It is about my childhood. It's about everyone's childhood. For Sandlot, it's anybody can relate to a character in there. I'm not Benny the Jet. Maybe I'm the fat kid that catches. Like
Hambino.
I know his name, bro.
Ham.
Thanks. But
Ham.
I feel like every kid can relate to that played baseball at the park with their friends, that played stickball behind the school. Like I feel like
I'll say this: if that wasn't your childhood, I feel bad for you because that was my childhood. Like, I'm not. There was 7 or 8 kids in my neighborhood. We came home from school. Every day we either played basketball, we played hockey, we played baseball. Like that was my childhood. Like that. And if you didn't grow up that way, that's I mean, I don't mean to trash anybody's circumstances, but that sucks. I mean that is the way I grew up. So
Bill Brancato Bill Brancato says he's Wendy Peppercorn.
Fair.
With that being said, though, does that mean White Men Can't Jump wasn't your childhood? Like,
No.
are you guys saying you had big verticals in your childhood?
No.
I still have a big vertical.
I still can't jump. I have the 6-inch vertical, bro. I'm like, I get up there. This is another easy one for me. I think next week it gets a lot harder. Remember the Titans is going against Friday Night Lights. Friday Night Lights is a very good movie. Remember the Titans is a better one. They're both about football, and Remember the Titans is just a better overall movie. Strong side, left side, strong side, left side. Give me Remember the Titans.
Hmm.
You really thinking about this? This isn't a thought.
I mean,
this white man can jump all over again.
no, it's not, because I'm pretty sure Cottrell's going to take Remember the Titans, so I don't think it's going to matter what I do. Remember the Titans is probably a better movie. Friday Night, I'll just say this. This is a lot closer than you just made it out to say, like, made it out to seem, in my opinion. Again, living through something similar to that, it's different when you're kind of like involved in it. Both have great speeches. You know, you just mentioned the Friday Night Lights or the Remember the Titans thing, but Mike Winchell's speech, like right before they run that last play, about he's like, you know, no matter what happens, I love you guys. Like, one play for it all. Like that gets me every time too. I'll vote Remember the Titans, but this is a lot closer than G would make it out to be.
Next week, I'm reading the whole Gettysburg Address that Denzel Washington gave. I'm reading it. Yeah, Cottrell.
And I am on the opposite side of Bill here. This isn't that close. I am with Gene. This is Remember the Titans. If they were playing and there was a real scoreboard, it'd be a running clock. You know, Remember the Titans up by 30 going into the fourth. And, you know, Herman Boone and those guys are going to be moving on.
I mean, I think it's clear Remember the Titans had the better defense. Hey, let me ask you a question real quick. They're both high school football teams. If the Permian Panthers went against the Titans, who wins and what's the score? Like, you have to understand. What?
Is Booby playing?
Booby Miles is 100% healthy.
Yeah, it's Permian.
Prime versus prime.
I'm taking the Panthers.
Yeah, Texas State football is the best high school football in the world. So
Dude,
I'll go Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
Sunshine's a way better quarterback. That's just clear. I'm going with the better quarterback.
Ain't got a Booby.
You're not getting Sunshine though.
I'm getting Ronnie Sunshine. I'm getting Ronnie Sunshine.
Rev's gonna play, bro.
I bench
Rev's
Rev.
the starter. You can't bench him. That's not the starter. You're gonna run that. You're gonna run that wing T.
It's called the what is it called? The Reel? The Reeve?
No, the Veer.
Veer, that's it. The Veer. All right, so that's our final four, guys. We got Remember the Titans versus Field of Dreams, The Sandlot versus Rounders. It's the final four movies of it all, brother. Are you guys ready for this? Let's do it right now. I'm just kidding. We got UFC. Let's get into it. Sunshine. Tiny Williams on the wire line. Sunshine. Loved it. Ryan Gosling. Yeah, that's fact, bro. Bill Brancato said it perfectly. Ryan Gosling, you ever talk about who Ryan Gosling is, an actor? He was an absolute liability at cornerback, bro. Couldn't play. Couldn't keep up with any of the wide receivers.
He's ass cheeks. He got burned all the time.
All right, so UFC cards, nuts. Should be fun. I have my stats written down here. I got stuff to get into. Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is it currently a 385 favorite? Tony Ferguson's a plus 290. I'll let you two go first.
I love that line where it's at. I think Michael Chandler wins that fight. I think it's going to be 3-0. Tony's too tough to get knocked out. Michael Chandler is not going to submit him. But I think Michael Chandler is going to be dominant. And this is going to probably be Tony Ferguson's second to last fight in the UFC. I think they give him one more. And that's going to be his little send-off. But he is the new journeyman of that division. And I think this is the beginning of, he's already been at the beginning of the end. I think this is his the middle of his end. His next fight's going to be it for him. But I think Michael Chandler is going to be real dominant. You know, we've seen Michael Chandler in his past two performances. He's lost his last two fights, but you could argue that, you know, and it doesn't really matter in UFC, but he almost beat Charles Oliveira, and he held strong against Justin Gaethje. So I like Michael Chandler to win this one, and I think Michael Chandler is going to be moving on up in that division.
Okay.
I agree with I agree with pretty much all of what Cottrell just said. I think Ferguson steals around maybe round one. I think it's 2-1. I think Chandler wins the fight, though. I think there's somewhat decent value in betting Ferguson. But to Cottrell's point, the funny thing is I do agree. I think this is the beginning of his swan song. I think he probably loses here, and they throw him a schlub next fight, so he goes out with a W. But there's one of those fights on this card already with Cowboy fighting Joe Lozon. I think the winner of that leaves the UFC on a W, and I think the other one just leaves. But again, I mean, we've said you just hit on both points. He looked good against Gaichey, looked pretty good against Oliveira. He's just looked really good his last 2 or 3 fights, where Ferguson seems to be going the other way. And I think all those beatings and all those wars that Ferguson was involved in, listen, man, it just catches up to you eventually. I don't care who you are. I don't care how tough you are. The body's just not designed to take, that much damage over the course of a lifetime. It's going to catch up to you eventually. And these guys are so good, man. It's if you're a split second slower than you used to be, that's the difference between, ducking a punch and feigning and not getting hit, or getting hit in the temple. So, was always a big Tony Ferguson fan. I think we've all agreed the war, love to watch the wars he was in when he was younger. Kind of be sad to see him go, but I think this is the beginning of the end for him. I think Michael Chandler moves on and kind of gets stuck in limbo because all the guys ahead of him he's lost to. So, but I think Michael Chandler wins the fight.
All right, so I like to go back to the history books when I make my predictions. I'm gonna make here comes one. So Michael Chandler was 10-0, 11-0, lost to Eddie Alvarez, and then Eddie Alvarez left Bellator. Michael Chandler's division win. Ill Will Brooks beat him 2 straight fights, one by split decision, and knocked him out. Then Ill Will Brooks went to the UFC. Michael Chandler won 4 fights in a row, then lost to Brent Primus when the division was his. So he came back, beat Brent Primus, and he's the champion. He's their 155 god, and Patricky Pitbull Freire knocks him out. Okay, let's continue his career. Comes into UFC, and he's going against Dan Hooker, and he's an underdog, and he knocks Dan Hooker out. Comes in, and Charles Oliveira beats him. Justin Gaethje beats him. Make something very simple for you. Michael Chandler is not the guy that will ever be a contender. Do I think he's better than Tony Ferguson right now? I don't know. But something about plus 290 doesn't sit well with me. I'm putting a full unit on Tony Ferguson money line. I'll take Ferguson.
How is Ferguson going to beat him? Like what, in what aspect?
Volume. Michael Chandler can't wrestle him because Tony Ferguson's too wiry. And Tony Ferguson's going to throw more volume. He'll beat him by decision 2-1 in a war. It'll look very similar to Justin Gaethje. I think Tony Ferguson ends up out throwing him by 60 to 70 punches. I think it'll be a decision 2-1.
I'm not saying that Tony has absolutely no chance in this fight. I don't see how he wins, but what about Tony's last few fights? So you brought up, Michael Chandler's past in Bellator many years ago, but like, how about how Tony's looked the past 3 fights that he's had?
So Tony has lost fights versus fighters that have unique differences than he does. Justin Gaethje is just an up-and-coming rising fighter and really started his downfall. But Tony Ferguson losing fights to people that can control him against the octagon, but not outstrike him for volume. Michael Chandler is not a volume striker. He's never been that in his entire career. Tony Ferguson is going to just throw too many punches. I think that Michael Chandler is going to swing up for that home run ball a little bit too much. I think Tony Ferguson is going to end up going to take a lot of damage, but beat him 2-1. It could be like a draw, like a majority draw, like a 28-28. But I think Ferguson's volume is just too much for Chandler, in my opinion. But just that's what I want.
That's what I wanted to hear, though. I wanted to hear like method of, like I said, I
really took my time on this fight. I really took my time breaking down this fight.
Will Will you be that shocked if Ferguson wins though? I wouldn't fall out of my chair or anything. Like I think
Honestly,
Chandler's gonna win, but I wouldn't be shocked.
I do just because, like, Gene, you bring up a good point. I do think, obviously matchups make fights. He's had some bad matchups, and he's gone against, two of the same guys that Chandler has with Gaichey and Oliveira. But those two fights to me just look different than what I saw with Michael Chandler there. There in those two fights, there was never a shot where I was like, oh, Tony has a shot to win this fight, And then against Badil and Dariush, he got absolutely dominated for 3 rounds. And I get it. Dariush is a wrestler and a grappler. So, that wasn't, Tony's strong suit in that fight. But I would be surprised. I think the line is very indicative of how that fight should go. And I said, I had it. I think he's going to be 30-27.
And I follow that, and that could potentially happen. I listened to Tony in the press conferences. I listened to him talking recently. I just feel like he's going to come out there and give a really good performance. I believe it. The next fight I watched multiple times, Carla Esparza versus Rose Namajunas. You don't remember Ultimate Fighter finals? Carla Esparza was a +2. She was actually a bigger dog then going into the Ultimate Fighter finale than she is now when Rose is on top of the world. When they fought the first time. Rose is -220, Carla's +176. That tells me a ton. That tells me they're giving a lot of respect to Carla Esparza. The Cookie Monster is going to try to get her arms around Rose, hold her down, and make that fight ugly. Here's the difference. Rose is a million times better than she was when they fought in the Ultimate Fighter. I don't think this fight will be a cakewalk for Rose, though. I'm telling you, there's going to be at least one round where Carla drags her down and holds her down the entire round. With that being said, it's a 5-round fight, championship fight. I think Rose gets the TKO stoppage in the 3rd round.
I'll go second here because I agree 110%. I have 3rd round stoppage TKO as well. I do think Esparza, that's going to be her game plan coming in. But like you said, Rose is a much better wrestler now than what she was back then. We kind of saw it in that last fight against Wei Li. She gets her spots and she's smart and she's tactical there. So I don't think Esparza is going to have that same domination on the ground as she did in that first matchup. So I think Rose weathers the storm and she puts her out in 3rd round.
I just think there's going to be a in the 2nd round, Carla gets her on the ground, and in the 3rd round, Carla's trying to get on the ground, and Rose just overwhelms her with shots. Joanna Jędrzejczyk beat the dog shit out of Carla Esparza. They should have stopped that fight a minute before they did. And I think that she wrote the blueprint on how Rose needs to attack Carla. Do not let her get close to you. Do not let her get her arms around her waist. If Carla gets her arms around you, she will hold you the entire fight. And she does not waste any energy. Like, she's the weirdest. If you've not watched Carla Esparza fight, she is the weirdest pregame routine. She looks like a scared little girl in the corner with her hands behind her back, almost like she's like ready for choir practice. But when she gets her arms around you, she's a pit bull. Bill, what's your thoughts?
I agree with almost everything you guys said. I think it ends a little earlier. It was funny. I was thinking about it earlier. I think Thug Rose wins round 1. I think it's probably a little bit of a feeling out process. Like you said, we know what she wants to do. We know what Esparza wants to do. I think Rose keeps her at distance. Just gets her timing down a little bit, wins round 1. I think Esparza gets her down to the ground in round 2, but I think Thug Rose gets up with maybe like a minute left. Esparza a little bit tired, maybe a little bit gassed from trying to hold her down. I think Thug catches her. I think it's late round 2 stoppage for me for Thug Rose. She continues on her rise.
I can clearly see that. I can clearly see that happening. But I just don't want I don't want people out there to overlook Carla Esparza like this is a walkthrough. These two fighters fought before, and it was bad. Like 30-27. It was not close. All right.
They've taken different trajectories since then.
100%.
No, I think she finished her.
Did she finish her by submission? It was
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense, but it had to be in the 3rd round when she finished her. It had to be late in the 3rd round. I remember watching that fight. But last but not least, we have Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaichey. Charles Oliveira is the lengthier fighter. Charles Oliveira has improved his striking a ton. Charles Oliveira is the much better fighter on the ground. What are your thoughts on the fight, Cottrell, before I give my prediction?
Whoa. When you say the much better fighter on the ground, what do you mean by that?
His Brazilian jiu-jitsu is way better than Justin Gaethje's.
In the sense of like his transitions, or
in the sense of his submissions?
Oh, I don't agree with that at all.
Okay. You think Justin Gaethje is a better submission fighter than Charles Oliveira?
Oh, I thought you were saying it the other way around. That's why I was like, I don't know. I don't agree with that. But yes, Oliveira, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. I heard it.
Maybe I said it wrong.
I was like, whoa. But I think Oliveira wins this one. I think Oliveira is a fighter he's really impressed me a lot. I was of the mindset when he first got his title shot against Michael Chandler for the vacant title left by Khabib. I really thought that he was undeserving and there should have been other guys fighting for it. But he's proven that he's belonged, and I think he's going to be raising his hand at the end of the day on Saturday night. So I think Oliveira is actually going to submit Justin Gaethje. I think that happens early third round, maybe 3.5 minutes left in the third round. I think he catches him, gets him on the ground, and I think he submits him.
I looked it up. It was a submission with 1 minute and 26 seconds left in the third round. Esparza beating Rose in 2014, 8 years ago. Just wanted to give clarity. Bill, Shawcross?
I think this is going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be a war. To both your points, I think, Oliveira is definitely the better ground fighter. I think Gaethje's wrestling is going to be good enough to probably withstand a lot of it at the beginning. He's not going to be easy to get on the ground. If it does, it's a huge advantage for Oliveira. Oliveira's striking has definitely improved. And it's actually improved dramatically the last year and a half. Since he got into championship contention and won the belt. Gaethje striking is another level when he's sticking within his game plan and his frame. It's going to be volume. It's going to be crazy cardio. Both guys are going to have to empty the tank to win this fight. I think it goes 5 rounds. I think it becomes the number one contender for fight of the year. I think it's an absolute war. I'm going Justin Gaethje, unanimous or 3-2. It'll be unanimous. So 3-2 decision, becomes a new champion of the world.
Let me take a quick second to shout out John Evans from Relationships 101. If you're not listening to that podcast Monday night, it is absolutely amazing. They had a great episode this week. John is constantly on the wire line, so let me just give him a shout out. I think his show is the most entertaining one to listen to on this radio station. It is super entertaining. So if you guys, for all the people at home that listen to us just for sports, and you want to listen to something else that's not sports, Relationships 101 is hilarious. Tune in Monday night, 8 o'clock, Relationships 101. There's a plug for you, my man John, because I love you. With that being said, I didn't give my pick. I told you. Oliveira, better on the ground. Oliveira has improved his striking. I think Justin Gaethje's got the eye of the tiger. I think Justin Gaethje is going to win this fight. I don't really know how. If I had to pick, I'd say 4th round stoppage. I don't see him winning a decision, but I think that the difference between Oliveira and Poirier is Gaethje and Poirier is Gaethje is a lot more technical of a fighter. He's a lot more crisp. He's a lot cleaner. He will not let Oliveira get into his body as easily as Dustin Poirier did. With that being said, I think that Justin Gaethje wins the fight. I'll say 4th round stoppage.
I like when we got some that we don't agree on all 3.
I don't know. I really don't. And I'll tell you right now, I would not put a nickel of my money on Rose. I think she's going to win the fight, but I just think that it's just one of those ugly fights. Styles make fights, right? I think Styles, and by the way, I just want to take one comment before we go into hockey and what was it, ponies and pucks. But one quick comment. If the UFC really signs Nate Diaz versus Hamzat, they should be arrested. Like, everybody there should get put in handcuffs because that is not a fight that anybody wants to see. Justin Gaichey spoke on it today, which I thought was hilarious. He goes, I give Nate a 1% chance of winning that fight because every puncher has a chance.
Well, he said 0 first, but then he corrected himself and said 1.
And Gene, we know your underlying disdain for Thug Rose. We know it's. I saw it showing there a little bit.
Because I thought Weili Zhang was a better fighter is the only reason you believe that. I followed Rose's career way before you two watched Rose. I watched her entire Ultimate Fighter run, every single episode of it. I don't have a disdain for Rose Namajunas. I think Rose's growth in the UFC is higher than anyone's growth in the UFC. I think her growth from 2014 to 2022 is incredible. I give her all the credit in the world. She beat Weili Zhang last time they fought. And I did not think that would happen. I was 100% wrong there. And I picked her to beat Carla Esparza this fight. And Carla Esparza used to be one of my favorite fighters. Period. So it's not a disdain for her. I just, I've watched them fight before. I watched Carla make her quit. And like that submission, if you watch it, I remember it more than you said it. It wasn't a submission like she really got tapped out. It was just like, I'm done. I can't beat this girl. Let me get out of this ring. Which is why I was so against her fighting against someone like Weili Zhang. I said she couldn't go into the deep waters and come out and survive. And she did. So that's why I picked her over Carla Esparza. Just being clear. All right.
Thug Rose for life.
Pucks and ponies. We're going to give our NHL finals predictions. And then we're going to give our Kentucky Derby predictions. Bill, this is your segment. If you want to give any briefings on the NHL playoffs. By the way, I just want to make this very clear for every listener out there that's listening to Hockey Fan. I could give a shit less about NHL playoffs this year. Literally have zero interest in it. The Flyers have made me so sick to my stomach at how bad they are that I actually have disdain for the sport right now.
Well, the Flyers suck, so that's spot on. But NHL playoffs are maybe the best playoff tournament in professional sports. So, it was a crazy year. It's not a lot to write home about the Flyers, obviously. Florida Panthers were your President's Cup trophy winner this year, the most points. They will have home ice through the playoffs. They're already down 1-0 to Washington, though, already. They lost last night. They blew a lead. They also, ironically, have 4 ex-Flyers on their team, most notably Claude Giroux, who was the Flyers captain for 12 years, I think, before he got traded. They were 16-2 after they traded him. He's fit in perfectly. They have Jonathan Huberdeau as their best player. Very good team. Sergei Bobrovsky, if you're a really good Flyers fan, you remember him when we traded him, and we probably shouldn't have. We probably should have kept him. He's their starting goalie. There's a lot of tough matchups this year. There's a couple in the first round that I think are kind of easy to predict, but I know we're not going to go through all of them one by one, so we're just going to give our finals predictions. I do think Florida gets to the finals, and I think they will meet the Colorado Avalanche in the finals as well. They're both the most high-scoring teams in the league. They're the deepest teams in the league. They have skill on all 4 lines. Good defensemen. Colorado has a kid named Cale Makar, who is literally incredible defenseman. We should have picked him, but we picked Nolan Patrick instead in his soggy brain. So that worked out well for us. I'm going with the Florida Panthers strictly out of sentimental value. I would like to see Giroux win a cup. Gudis is on that team. He's played Flyer, Bobrovsky, and Hag as well. So I will go with the Florida Panthers in a classic 7-game series against Colorado, 4-3.
I already changed my prediction. I think Colorado wins. I think Colorado wins the NHL Stanley Cup this year. I have Colorado over Carolina, not Florida. I have Colorado beating Carolina 4-1 in the Stanley Cup Finals. I think Colorado doesn't lose 2 games in any series this entire playoffs.
Funny thing was, that was my prediction in our NHL preview this year.
Colorado over Carolina?
Yep.
Yeah, stay with it, man. Don't change, because you could record it and be like me with Georgia.
But now he's getting his second out though, because he's changing it now. So if either happens, kind of like Georgia.
There's no out. I'm going
I
with what I
said
picked.
Georgia when I predicted the beginning of the season. I said Georgia would lose the Bama in the SEC title game and then win the national championship.
And then what'd you say the week of?
Because I was so high on Georgia. You're right.
Yeah, see, I'm saying, Bill's taking the page out of your book.
But I never changed Georgia winning the title.
Oh, I know. You never wavered there. For me,
take your shot in the dark.
I'm throwing my dart at the wall, and we'll see where it lands. I am going to go with two teams that I'm as a very casual might be overselling that a little bit, but I'm going to go with two teams that I know are going to be consistently good. I'm going to go with Colorado is going to be my winner. I'm going to take them over Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, a team that always finds a way to win. So they're going to win through the East, get to the final again, but they're going to lose it this year.
Okay.
Putting the cheaters back in the finals.
I honestly think that me and Cottrell have watched a total of 2 games of hockey this year. Like if you add up all the periods combined.
I will say being in Columbus, I've randomly accidentally caught some Blue Jackets games, not intentional at all, but just being somewhere out to eat.
They're in Columbus, Ohio?
Just show them.
I didn't even know what Columbus they were in. Record that one. I'm kidding.
All right.
It's a joke. All right, ponies. I actually have some ponies. I have a winner. I have a winner and I have a dark horse.
I did my winner and I did my superfecta that I'm going with.
Okay, I just said dark horse.
148th running of the Kentucky Derby. Churchill Downs, Louisville, Kentucky. Weather could be iffy on Saturday, so it could throw a wrench in all this. If we get some rain, then you got to find out who a mutter is. If you don't know what a mutter is, then you probably shouldn't be betting on the race because you're going to lose money. But I'll let Gene go first on this one. Like I said, I picked a winner. This is a tough field to handicap this year. There's a lot of there's quite a bit of top end talent, and there's a bunch of decent dark horses like Gene's going to get into that have a legit shot to win this race, depending on how the race breaks out of the gate. So I'm very curious.
I'm going to write it down for you, Bill. I'm going to tell you right now, the top 2 horses in the race. I don't know who's going to win, but I'll tell you the top 2 horses. And I'm putting money on both of them. One is Zandon, or like Landon, but Zandon. I'm going Zandon. They're 3-1 favorites. They're second favorite in the whole Kentucky Derby to win it. I think they'll be in the top 2. They could win it. But if they don't win it, there's a little mutter in that track. There's a little mutter by the name of Cyberknife. I love him at 20-1. Cyberknife is running out of the 8th or 9th position, which is right in the middle of the pack. I think that he'll dart out early because he's a mutter if it's a little wet. And I think it's between Zandon and Cyberknife.
So Cyberknife is a horse to watch. If they get a lot of rain down there, if he can get out of the gate and not get buried, he's a horse that likes to get out front. And set the pace a little bit. So if he can get out there and run his race, a lot of these horses that don't run in the mud or haven't run in the mud are not going to close like they normally do. He could go. He's a horse that could go wire to wire. It's a very good pick. No pun intended there. But my winner of the race, I'm basing it on that it's gonna be a normal track. So I'm going with Epicenter. He's currently the second favorite. I like his pedigree a little bit better. I like his running style a little bit better, and he's got a better gait. I think he can sit back in the pack or be in the middle a little bit, not get flustered. And when he goes around the corner, I think he can break out and go. He closes better than anybody else in the field. So I'm going Epicenter. My superfecta is going to be Epicenter Taiba, which is a horse from Japan. That'll be the highest finishing Japanese horse ever in the history of Kentucky Derby if he finishes second. Currently, it's 6th. I like Messier to finish 3rd. And I like Gene's horse Zandon to finish out my superfecta coming in 4th. I think he's probably there with about 100 yards to go, and I think 2 horses get him. So I think he'll finish in 3rd or 4th, but I'm picking him in 4th in my superfecta.
Bill, who's the favorite in the race if you said he's second? Zandon's second.
No, Zandon's the favorite now. He's 3-1.
Zandon's 3-1.
7-2. 7-2.
3.5 to 1.
Oh,
math. It's okay. It's tough. I get it.
Touche.
Fractions, bud. It's fractions.
Thank you. Go ahead, Shally. Go ahead,
Oh,
Simpson.
he's flustered now.
Flustered.
I'm going with. I actually did a little bit of research here. I'm going with a horse that's coming first in 4 of his last 5 races, and he came in second in January, but he's won his last 2 races. I'm going with Epicenter as well. I'm going with the horse that's been winning, and I think he's going to keep winning. I guess my dark horse, you could say, would be Smile Happy. Smile Happy's put out a couple good performances so far this year. He's 20-1, so I think, if Epicenter doesn't get it done for me, I'm going to go with the other consistent horse and Smile Happy.
I like the name Smile Happy. I almost picked him just because I like the name.
Said it before. I've been to one. I was lucky enough to go to one. Both you guys, it sounds crazy. It is one of the most fun things you'll ever do in your life. If you ever get a chance to go to the Kentucky Derby, go. Pageantry.
Control lives around the corner from Kentucky. He's in the Kentucky market.
But it's not around the corner, but
he's in the market.
It's a closer drive than me or you have, but it's not around the corner. But listen, if you ever have a chance to go, man, go. It is so much fun. It is those people make it the biggest deal in the world, man. And you'll be surprised. I mean, people I've talked to that go, they don't realize how big the horses are. And then when you see them run by you, TV doesn't do it justice how fast they run. This horse is running around 25 miles an hour. So to put it in perspective, it's just a great time, though, man. The mint juleps, the hats, everybody gets all decked out. And the infield, honestly, dude, the infield's a huge party. It's like a huge block party that you just get dressed up really nice to go to. That's what it is. It's so much fun.
Kevin David said, Smile Happy has less of a chance to win than Contrell and Bill do against me and Kevin in 2-on-2 basketball.
Still a better shot than you beating Dinah Taurasi, though. So
I was going to say, don't make me get Taurasi.
All right, let's get into You Gotta Be Kidding Me. Contrell starts off.
So, my You Gotta Be Kidding Me this week is one from late last week, and we talked about it a little bit earlier on the show. My You Gotta Be Kidding Me this week is Doc Rivers. It is for having Joel Embiid in the game that late when the game's completely wrapped up. There's 3 minutes left in the game, 4 minutes left in the game, late fourth quarter, and you're up 26, and you have your, MVP front runner, second place guy in the game still. There's no reason for it. And as a coach, Doc Rivers just doesn't get the benefit of the doubt from me. Other guys, I'd be like, it's one of those things, maybe he was just keeping them in a rhythm. He was, still figuring some stuff out. Doc Rivers does not get that luxury from me. So for that, now you're missing your superstar center. You're probably going to go down 0-2 after tonight is over. And that probably puts a pin in your chances at winning this series. So Doc Rivers.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Give it to him, Shally.
I'm going with one that just happened this afternoon. We've talked about Premier League soccer very sparingly on the show, but I know Cottrell's a fan. I'm a big Man U fan, so I naturally hate Man City. The bum-ass Blues were up 5-3 on aggregate in the 90th minute today in the second leg of their Champions League semifinal to get to the final, and let Real Madrid score 2 goals in 2 minutes in injury time to force extra time and then give up another one to lose. They had a 3-goal swing in the course of about 8 minutes to get knocked out. So I don't care. It was actually happy for me. Pep can go back and not win again. Man City can go and sulk with their $300 million payroll that never wins anything. For me, it is what it is. So for choking horribly, bringing a smile to my face this week, it's Man City for me.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
That's
hilarious.
I need Jeff Perrone on the wire line. I hope he's there. For me this week, it is the situation that's happening with Jordan Addison. It's an absolute travesty. This kid was not in the transfer portal, and it came out that USC offered him $3 million and some other stuff. What did they offer him, Cottrell?
It was $3 million in a home in Southern California.
So $3 million and a home in Southern Cal, and the guy's not in the transfer portal. Look, I was one of the first people to tell you that college football players should be making money off their name. They shouldn't be punished for selling their memorabilia or things like that. That's how the NIL got started. The NILs went completely the wrong way, and it's going to get taken away really quick. It's going to go away really fast if they're going to keep allowing shit like this to happen. My issue isn't with Jordan Addison. It's just not. My issue is with the USC Trojans for what I would consider poaching a player. In the NFL, it would be considered tampering. There's no rules against that, so it's not really the UFC Trojans' fault either. The biggest issue is with the NCAA for just not playing this out in their head. Listen, with NIL sponsorship money and the money that can be thrown at these kids, you have to have a tampering rule. You have to be able to limit this and make sure things like this do not happen. This kid was not in the transfer portal. And, a day after $3 million in a home in Southern Cal gets leaked, guess what? Jordan Addison enters the transfer portal. Can't be there. This can't happen. The NCAA has to fix this immediately. If he signs with a different college, I don't want to hear that bullshit either, because all that means is that college gave him more money. This kid was not in a transfer portal before USC offered him $3 million in a home in Southern California. The NCAA has to do something about this, and I don't like what USC did. You don't tamper with other players. You're like Vertex on Tuesday nights. So with that, USC, NCAA committee.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Oh, yes, that was a little
Vertex
shot on Tuesday night.
I did want to just add in a quick little tidbit to that, though.
Fine.
NCAA does have a rule against it. They do have like a tampering rule. It just, we'll see if they actually enforce it or not. That you're not supposed to be able to. You're not supposed to be able to, send players these offers like that.
You're not really supposed to talk to them. You're not be allowed to talk to them until they're officially in the portal. So it will be very interesting to see how that goes down.
All right. So with that being said, any final thoughts? Any final comments for this week?
I got nothing.
Cottrell, time to make a pick, sir. Next Tuesday night, 9:00, Gene's wire team against my Vertex team. Gene cut me. Didn't tell me he was coming back. Didn't want me on his team. Can't really call that tampering. So, make a pick, sir. Who you got?
I'm not actually calling it tampering with you.
I know you're talking about Herb and all that. I know.
Gene, before I answer this,
yes, sir.
You still got Adrian and Jacob?
Yes.
They're both going to be playing?
Jacob's hurt.
Yes. Jacob's playing. Jacob's playing. Played Sunday.
He's playing?
Jacob's hurt.
Played last night, actually.
All right.
Not full.
Those are some cool dudes, and I know them, so I'm rolling with them and Gene's squad.
I got news for you. I'll just make this comment really quick. I'm not talking any shit. I'm going to make it very simple. It all matters with the pitching matchup. If they throw their ace, CJ versus us, it's going to be a close game. But if they throw the backup, the backup that comes in, it's going to be hit city all day.
To be clear for the wire-to-wire listeners, who is their backup?
It's just this guy, Bill Shawcross, that's on the podcast.
The guy that they wanted. So CJ go play third, taking over the ace role.
I love it. Now, with that being said, they're a very, very talented team. They're a good team. They started off a little behind the 8 ball. They're 2-4. Wire's 3-3.
Don't give me the political answer, Gene.
We're
2-3. We're 2-3.
We're gonna win.
We played one less game. We're 2-3. This will be a big game towards seeding come playoff time. No, we're winning. We finally got our heads out of our asses last night. Beat one of the best teams in the league. We played like we did last night.
We beat the best team in the league. FYI.
That's all right. You beat them at 6:30. You're missing 5 players.
We will 10-15 we'll take half their team was drunk.
Everybody was there actually, and nobody was drunk.
No one was missing. No one was missing 6:30.
No. You actually know they did.
I love it.
Go back and look at the box score. It's all good though. We're gonna take care of business.
What'd be the spread on this game?
It's probably wire to wire minus 2.5.
Perfect. That's fool's gold. That's fool's gold money right there. Lay that money. Lay those runs. You're gonna regret them. You're gonna regret them.
Y'all have
over
a
under
great
what,
night.
Gene?
Y'all have a great
over under
night.
what?
23, 24.
Over.
Give me the over.
Wire to wire
Oh,
Give
sign
me
out.
the over.
Over. Burjack's gonna have to shit out Chappie.